Oh, where's Robin at? Robin, your babysitter tonight.
No, he's not. He has to stay with us.
He serves.
Other duties as assigned.
He provides many functions. Like
All right, let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting of the Board of Trustees for the zoning application hearing for ZON-24-08 Epcon Evans Farm to order. Ms. Bonnie, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Ringel.
Here.
Trustee Faust.
Here.
And Trustee Knapp.
Here.
All right, will you please all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, as I stated previously, we're here this evening to hear zoning application ZON-24-08 Epcon Evans Farm. I'll go over the format for the hearing for anyone who hasn't attended these zoning hearings in the past. We're going to have a staff presentation on any of the changes that were made for the zoning application since it was last presented. If the applicant has any presentation as well, they'll follow the staff report. The board will ask some comments and questions, and then the applicant will have an opportunity to respond. We will open the hearing up for public comment. We're going to limit public comment to 5 minutes this evening just to make sure everyone has time to speak. And if you wouldn't mind during public comment, focusing your comments on any of the changes that are proposed for tonight's application. We'll close public comment, go into some additional details about public comment when we get to it, and then we'll finish out the hearing with discussion with the applicant. So without further ado, I'll turn the meeting over to Director Duffy.
Good afternoon, trustees. I'll start with the staff report, and again, just kind of covering the changes since the previous submission. So Michelle, if you don't mind jumping to the third page of the PDF, we can start from there. You can see the updated layout as she scrolls past. We do have that in a bigger format that we can throw up on the screen later as well. All right, and for those of you reading on the screen, bold text indicates that it is a change from the previous submittal. So for permitted uses from the previous version, as a reminder, condominiums would still be added as a permitted use. However, language from the previous version that permitted attached dwellings and townhomes in the Epcon sub-area has been removed. So the only change to the uses would be the condominiums as an explicitly permitted use, as well as sales trailer and construction trailer would be added as permitted uses. That has not changed, but the location of both the sales trailer and construction trailer has been updated from the previous submittal. In terms of the unit count has changed, so there are now 149 residential units that are proposed to be within the sub-area. All 149 units are proposed to be single-family detached condominium units. That is down from 159 units in the previous submittal. 2 units of those were added to the private road south of English Drive from the previous submittal. And as a reminder, 1,046 single-family units are permitted in the Evans Farm single-family plan residential district area in total. So these 149 units would still count towards that requirement. The open space calculation did change slightly. The open space acreage increased to 25.44 acres, which increased the percentage as well to 40.5% of the overall site area. And then the other changes in section 5 of the staff report in landscaping, additional 20 evergreen trees were added to the landscaping plans along the southern property line, specifically to the west of the single-family detached condos south of English Drive. That covers the changes since the previous submittal. So I have nothing further at this time unless the board has any questions.
Any initial questions about the staff report? All
So just, well, I guess just to confirm, so the unit total went down and the open space went up when I'm comparing it
That is
to the
correct.
previous sub-application. Thank you.
So how many units were there originally in the plan that was submitted to the zoning commission?
161.
Okay, so it was 161, and then it was 159, and then it was 149,
Correct.
and now it's 151?
It's 149.
It's 149, okay. Okay, I don't have any more questions.
Okay. Does the applicant have a presentation that they'd like to make?
We do, yes. My name's Kelly Fankhauser with Epcon Communities. Address is 500 Stonehenge Parkway, Dublin, Ohio 43017. Members of the board and staff, thank you for your time this evening, and Robin, thank you again for covering all those changes. I have a truncated presentation just covering those changes. Michelle, you got to 2, perfect, thank you. As Robin mentioned, we have removed 30 townhomes from our plan, replaced those townhomes with our detached single-family courtyard homes, and added 2 homes to the south of English Drive. We now have 141 courtyard homes to the north of English Drive and 8 courtyard homes to the south of English Drive. Next slide, please, Michelle. Due to the change and decrease in units, our traffic numbers have decreased. All of our plans, including the original plan of 161 homes, have been estimated to generate less traffic than the 93 homes on the Evans Farm conceptual plan. With our unit count now totaling 149, we have further widened that traffic count difference. This table shows that the 149 homes would likely generate 112 fewer trips and 32 fewer peak hour trips when compared to the 93 conventional single-family home plan. We also share on this slide estimated traffic counts that would be generated by a plan of 149 single-family conventional homes that would be allowed under the approved zoning without modifications. When compared to the estimated traffic from the Epcon community, 149 conventional single homes generate 624 more daily trips and 84 more peak hour trips than the Epcon community. Next slide, please, Michelle. In our meeting with this board on February 5th, it was made clear that our townhomes would not be supported in the sub-area of Evans Farm. We strongly believe that that plan was best for the township and neighbors, as it maximized open space. It allowed density to be shifted north of English Drive and eliminate out the possibility of alley-loaded homes south of English Drive. It created diverse housing for the township's 55-plus constituents, and it maximized the surplus for the school district. That plan was also good for Epcon and good for the land seller. It gave us an opportunity to be efficient in the planning of the layout while maximizing the open space for the sub-area and Evans Farm overall. Nonetheless, we needed to revise the plan. And we revised it by replacing the 30 townhomes with 18 single-family courtyard homes and added 2 courtyard homes south of English Drive, taking the unit count from 159 to 149. In our first zoning commission meeting, we presented a plan of 161 homes, which included 8 homes south of English Drive. The distance of the westernmost courtyard home to the property line on the original layout measured 42.5 feet. Mr. and Mrs. Naveau, who are our neighbors to the south, felt that the 42 feet was too close to their property line, and staff asked that more space be created for greater buffering. In making our revision to our plan, we kept those comments in mind. In front of you this evening, it is in our proposed layout, we compared the original layout with 8 homes south of English Drive. Greater distance has been achieved by units being shifted to the east. The distance between the property line and the 2 westernmost courtyard homes is now 58 feet and 81 feet versus the original layout of 42 feet and 66 feet. This spacing also allows for more buffering, which is shown on our landscape plan. This is also depicted on Exhibit H7 in your binders. Michelle, next slide, please. Because our plan has been compared to the conceptual Evans Farm plan throughout the amendment process, we feel it important to show the comparison of distance between Epcon's courtyard homes and our neighbors' property lines and homes. As you can see on this slide, our courtyard home creates more distance to our neighbors' property lines, distance that will be designated open space and consistently maintained by the community association. Next slide, please, Michelle. During the 2 zoning commission meetings and the Bryn Mawr neighborhood meeting, we heard feedback from commission members, staff, and neighbors that more buffering would be preferred between the Bryn Mawr property lines and English Drive. And although this board did not request more landscaping, we decided that there was enough space to add more evergreen trees south of English Drive. With the addition of 20 evergreens, there are now a total of 45, along with mounding and deciduous street trees buffering English Drive from the Bryn Mawr property lines. Next slide, please, Michelle. Thank you all for allowing me the time to share those details. Our plan in front of you this evening delivers so many positives. It generates less traffic. Our plan is less dense. It maximizes open space. It creates less burden on the township's operating fund with privately maintained streets and amenities. It provides much-needed age-targeted housing with strong home values. It's a plan that creates greater privacy for our neighbors with our private courtyard designs. And it is a plan that would generate an annual surplus of an estimated $1.3 million to the Olentangy School District. For all those reasons, it's a plan that's worthy of your support and your approval this evening. With me again to answer questions is Craig Cherry, Epcon's Regional President, our legal counsel Tom Hart, our engineer Tyler Jackson, and Gary Smith with G2 Land Planning and Design. Also in attendance is Evans Farm Master Developer Michael Zenios. Thank you.
Questions or comments from the board?
Did you go first?
Okay. You answered my one question about what the location of the new trees. I just wanted to, notice that I had asked you to move the sales trailer, so it was farther away from the Bryn Mawr residents, so thank you for that. It looked like the construction trailer would be almost over by north of English Drive, closer to South Oak State, so that can stay just for all 3 phases. Is that the location for the
I
construction
believe that
trailer?
will move.
As you go to
It would
phase
move into
3.
the third phase.
Okay, but like within
yeah,
the development?
But it would stay in that area for the first 2 phases while we
Okay.
develop the
And
private
then the
site.
sales trailer looked like it was, the number that represented that was on one of the actual units on the south, so is it going
Yeah,
to?
it was just being held on one of the lots that we'd be developing.
Okay.
Until the model or our clubhouse is complete, and then the sales trailer is really temporary.
Okay.
It won't be there the entire project, hopefully only a few months. it'll be
Okay,
here.
thanks. Lisa, what'd you have?
So regarding the 2 extra lots that you added on the southeast side, so you said it was originally, in the original application, 42 feet from the new Vose house. Is that correct?
Yes, the westernmost courtyard home on the far left there, originally was 42 and a half feet. And during our zoning commission meeting, they had asked that we create more space, and we were able to achieve that by shifting our lots to the east, creating a greater space for buffering, and then more distance between the Bryn Mawr property lines and those courtyard homes. So now, the westernmost courtyard home on this plan with 8, with them shifted to the east, is 58 feet.
So now it's 58, okay.
Mhm.
And what was it at the last hearing, when you had
At the
those-
last hearing, it was 105, when it was 6 units south.
Okay, so it went from 42 to 58 and
Correct.
to 105, and then it's back
To
to...
58.
Okay. I'm not a real fan of that, adding the 2 in, since you did promise those residents you were going to take them out. And I know you had to reconfigure those, but I would ask that, of everything in this plan, I would ask that you remove those 2. Consider that, because I think it's really unfair to the people that live in that area that don't want to, I understand it's still still more distance than if the regular single-family homes were built, but I think it's really hard to go from the 58 to the 105. That's almost,
Yeah.
double the space, so.
You know, this entire process have really been, obviously we had townhomes in the plan before because, we have a land seller, we have a builder, we're trying to maximize the use of the site that we can legally and ask for that. We weren't granted that, and we understand, we've wrapped our minds around that, and we are trying to strike a balance here. We will be building here for 4 or 5 years. We want to be good neighbors. We want to have open dialogue with the neighbors. We're going to be here for a while. And our home buyers are going to be here probably for the rest of their lives when they move here. We're just trying to strike that balance. We did take away 10 units, and we thought that it would have been a compromise, knowing that the distance was greater than what would be permitted, that is permitted with a traditional, conventional, single-family home. We're built here. It's, 35 versus 58. I mean, we're providing a lot more space than what wouldn't even need approval coming through this board. But again, we're trying to strike that balance, and provided there aren't any additional concessions that you're going to request, we're comfortable and happy to remove those 2 homes from the layout.
Okay, that would be awesome. That was probably one of my biggest concerns, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that you added the additional pine trees from the last hearing.
Yes, we added 20 additional evergreens to the south of English Drive on the mounding. So now there are a total of 45 in addition to the mounding and then the street trees buffering English Drive from the Bryn Mawr property lines.
Okay, and did you already display what it would look like when the proposed landscaping plan, the 3D version of that?
Oh,
drawing that you said.
Michelle,
Do that.
can you go to
Okay.
there
Is that
we
the
are.
one? Okay.
Okay, thank you. This was a perspective that an artist was able to get together for us. It is a wide view, like a perspective, and I'm maybe missing the word,
0.5.
but yeah, thank you. Trying to give the best view of what it will look like from English Drive driving toward the east, so that you can see the mounding, you can see the trees, you can see that there's quite a bit of distance. And this was our effort to show this, so.
This is driving east on English Drive?
Correct, yeah.
And so are those trees?
So Bryn Mawr is the English Drive, the closest part of English Drive to the Bryn Mawr property lines is about where that car is. So that's the 85 feet
okay.
That the
little
Alberts that we
dip,
discussed,
okay.
yes.
And how
Exactly.
old are those trees at that point? Like, what, is this?
That's planted. That's planted. We're
Oh,
showing
okay.
planted and,
So not like 5 years down the line, but
yeah,
like-
correct. I mean,
like
5 years down the line, they could be 20
How
feet
many,
tall.
they'll be much taller,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
They're fast.
They'll grow a foot, what I've been told, a foot to a foot and a half, 2 feet a year, depending on the tree.
Okay.
I
now that-
spent some time sitting on Rock Drive around 4 o'clock today, looking at the trees from the Bryn Mawr subdivision. So are those deciduous trees that are behind the
Yes.
evergreens? Those are the existing
Those are their
trees?
existing deciduous trees.
And it looked like the residents had mounds
They do.
at their, so those would
Yeah.
remain?
Those will
That's
remain.
correct?
We actually, speaking with our engineer, we believe that we're going to be able to match that from that point and kind of like pull that height all the way towards English Drive. So
So
that
not
won't be
like
going
this,
anywhere.
it'll
Yeah.
just go up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see here. So, you said it's $1.3 million net to the district and, to the schools, correct?
Correct. It's gone down since we've reduced the unit count. But I believe I have in your packet in front of you. You have it? 14, thank you.
It's at the end of the packet.
Yeah, so the surplus to the schools is, 1.33 million annually estimated based on the tax revenue generated by the 149 units. If it were to go down to 147, you'll lose about 24,000 just in
Okay.
tax,
Because
decreases slightly, yeah.
Yeah, so 149 single-family houses, what is the rate these days for Olentangy? Is it 14,000 per student?
It's 12, it's on here.
Is
It's
it 12? Okay.
12,348 per student. So we believe that based on those numbers, and we do use the auditor website tax information, so I do think these are understated. I think we actually generate more tax than this.
Yeah, that's true.
But with all those numbers in mind, we will generate enough funding for 115 students while,
Yeah.
generating very few children in the school district, so.
Yeah, so if we were to build 149 single-family homes, which could be done here, then that would, it really could create up to 150 school-age students. I mean, there's an average of like 0.8, but there's higher student counts in some neighborhoods. So I did want to point out that, in theory, you could have a developer, I mentioned this last time, a developer could come in like just a stick-built, random developer could come in right now without any approval from the trustees or the zoning board, come in right now and build practically almost whatever they want, as long as it's within the Evans Farm guidelines. So they could come in right now and build 200, 300, maybe even 400 single-family homes right now with no input from this board, as long as they meet the zoning of Evans Farm. So if they went to Mr. Duffy, they would go to him, get the zoning permit, get the building permits, and no input. they could build houses right now directly up against your backyards with 35-foot setbacks. That is what could happen now with no approval, because the zoning is already approved for this property for that. So that is a sad, unfortunate reality of this particular development. So I would just ask everyone, consider the fact that Epcon is one of the, like, I've been in zoning for 27 years, sadly, half of my life, and they're one of the very few developers that builds extremely quality development. They're very quiet. They bring really great people to the neighborhood. And just for your information, they actually donated to my competitors at the last election. So I'm not doing this for I'm not doing this to gain anything at all, and I have no hard feelings for that. But and that stands for the next election too, just for information. But so I do consider them to be a quality developer. Like I said, I have many years, the most years of experience, I guess, of anyone here with zoning at least. So I would ask that you would consider, sometimes you have to think about what could be built versus what is being proposed. And I can think of one example years ago where we did deny an Epcon development because they were asking for multifamily. And it was already included to be single family in our land use plan. So we could turn that down. This is already designated as single family. But in that case, some residents were upset, and we did end up turning it down because we legally could, because of some technicalities. But what ended up happening is single family went in there instead. They tore down the barn, they took the pond out, everything was decimated, and what we got instead was over 100 or maybe 200 single family homes there instead. So sometimes you have to be careful, in my opinion, what you wish for, because what you end up getting is much worse than what is being proposed. So I would just ask everyone to have an open mind for that situation that could occur. Like, again, I know no one wants these to be built in their backyard, and everyone is upset about Rock Drive, but the Rock Drive extension, our hands are tied. We can't do anything about that. The Delaware County engineer will require that regardless of what is approved here. So I'm just trying to be honest here. Like I said, I have denied, and we did deny an Epcon once years ago. Let's see here. I do, like I've said, if you've ever driven through their neighborhoods, they're very nice. The homes will be taken care of. They'll be a lot more quiet. The maintenance and the landscaping is done all at a certain time, versus if you live in a single-family neighborhood now, you know that your neighbor's using their leaf blower at 11 p.m., mowing the lawn at 7 a.m., all kinds of things. This neighborhood will be very controlled and very, very quiet. When I've gone through some of these, there's hardly anyone driving in and out, just to try to reassure people that if something will be built here, and I think truly this is the best option, and it does meet, the requirements that we're asking for. I also think it will increase the home values of your own homes, because they are nicer homes. And I'd like you to know about this board here. We disagree sometimes. Sometimes it's a 2-to-1 vote. We don't have hard feelings. We're all free to express our own opinions, and we don't rubber stamp things. We really like to take our time. There's some boards you'll find in other townships that will just approve everything, but we do take our time on each and every zoning application, all 3 of us, to consider the pros and cons. So I just wanted to throw that out there before public comment. Okay, that's all.
Can I make one more statement? So there was a comment at the last hearing from, I don't think he was a resident, but from someone on the public comment side that was talking about quantity of students. I served for 2 different times on the Olentandy Redistricting Committee, so I understand how they count students. So what Epcon did when they were saying, I think it's 5 students or something small like that, is they could possibly come from this development. So what they did is they reached out to, it's Wolpert Engineering, the girls, I think her name is Karen, is the person the school district uses, and they asked her, okay, Karen, who are, of the Epcon developments that are in Orange Township, tell me how many students there are. And so she literally counted the number. They can tell that, they can do that in my subdivision, in each of our subdivisions. They have exact numbers of children that are actually coming. So when they say there's going to be 5 students or 6 or whatever the number is, that is from data specific to Epcon communities, specific to Orange Township. So, just so
Yeah,
we're
and it's never been higher. They promised 2 students or whatever, or 3, but there's literally 1 or 2 in all the Epcon development, because people just don't want to live there, they have kids.
But it could be someone moving in 55 that, that has a 15-year-old or a 17-year-old. That's possible, right?
Yeah, has custody of their
Possible. Yeah,
grandchild, but it is pretty rare because, kids make a lot of noise, and people that live in these areas don't really want a lot of kids around, so. I have nothing else.
Go ahead.
Comment?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go ahead now and open up for public comment. Just as a reminder, when you come forward, please state your name and address. Please address the board with any questions and comments you have, and if you have questions, we'll direct those to the applicant after public comment and get those answered.
And if you missed the beginning of the meeting, we're asking that you only address comments on the changes from the previous application to this application. And then we're going to do a 5-minute timer just to keep things moving.
So 5-minute time limit? We're
Yes.
eliminating
Per
public. so
Per
it's 5.
speaker, yeah.
Thank you.
Kate Naveau, you want my address? 2937 Pebble Drive. I just want confirmation, because when Mike and I were here last on January 7th, we heard 6 units in that southeast corner. And then we see 8, and then I want to make sure that I heard you right, that now it will be back to 6.
And we'll address you address the questions to
Okay.
us, and then
Oh,
we'll
okay.
ask them.
That's what I'm just wanting to confirm, and that those units will be the ones furthest
Yes, that's a good point.
west. Not
Yeah.
the ones that
Yeah.
are 40, with the 58 feet from my property line, because my property line was 50% covered by condos. This is 100% covered by condos, and with those 2 out, it should be back to 50%.
So you want it back to the 105 that feel
Well, I
like?
don't know about the third condo. I don't know if that third
Well,
condo is
yeah, we'll have the-
105. But
once
yeah,
all the
I want to
public's
just
done, we'll
make
have her confirm that.
confirmation
Yep.
that that's what I heard just now.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else?
Still get 5 minutes? Everybody gets 5 minutes?
Everybody
Yeah,
gets 5
everybody
minutes?
gets 5 minutes, yep.
Thank you, all right. Kylie Baylor, 2800 Pebble Drive, resident. I'm going to start with some comment, move to questions. It's been an exhausting process, right? I mean, I applaud all the groups who have to do this for a living, and not for me. I'll stay retired, thank you. But, throughout this process, what I've learned in my comment is that there are companies that say that they want to be good neighbors. And then there are companies who flat out are good neighbors. To me, the difference in a company that says it and a company that isn't is I've never had a company that is a good neighbor or interested in customer support talk to me about fine print. They've never said, look at the paperwork, lawsuit, court, law, right? What I've heard is, let's do whatever we can so that everybody feels like they win in this situation. I can tell you, definitely for me, and since most people aren't going to stand up and talk, the vast majority, if not every resident present or involved with this, is not coming out a winner, right? We're not coming out even remotely satisfied with the circumstances. We understand the legality. We understand that small print, right? Now we understand the small print. And we will never forget the small print or the companies who remind us that they are small print focused companies. So I want us to also comment, hey, from a trustee perspective, we get it. You got to do what's, nobody wants to get sued. Nobody wants to get into trouble or have all sorts of big problems happening down the line. And we definitely don't. It's my time to speak. It's not there now, but it should have been there before. We should have had all of this buttoned up. We believed in a company that said, hey, Evans Farm, it'll be okay, trust us, we got all these great things, and we're really being penalized for that trust. But never again. Never again. So those are my comments. From a question perspective, would it be possible to have the community involved to reduce the expense to the builder, where there's community tree donation, tree planting, so to bring the community into this, which increases potentially the number of plant life, trees, etc. It brings the community into it, and it reduces the cost outlay for the builder in certain areas. Just a question.
Would that be the HOA?
I don't know. Well, that's my second question. Is there an HOA for the Epcon community? Yes or no? I don't know. I don't know how the whole, condo type situation works. There's a clubhouse. I'm assuming there is. But what are those types of deed restrictions, right? What are people allowed to do? We've talked about beautiful homes, but can I buy one of those and paint it purple? I don't know. So I'm asking. And then my last question would be, could we actually understand specifically where the, I don't remember what it's called, construction trailer? Is it a construction trailer? I think it's a construction trailer. Construction trailers are going to be in all phases, just so that we have that there. What I'm hoping can happen, I'll leave this with my last comment, would be, I don't have trust anymore. So I want everything in writing. Everything in writing. Right? And without it, I say continue until we have everything satisfied and in writing. I just don't believe the words anymore, and I'd like to make sure that this community has ironclad documentation, because that's what we didn't have last time. We didn't read the fine print, and now here we are. So that we can all read said fine print, if I can ask the trustees to ensure that we have the questions answered and everything documented in writing. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other public comments?
Can we just talk about Rock Drive?
Name and address, please.
Oh, it's April Everest, 5245 Meadow Bend Drive. Can we talk about Rock Drive and what the situation with that is looking like, or if there's anything that we can do about that? Because, as you know, that is a huge concern, safety-wise. If you were over there, you saw that we don't have sidewalks, like our good neighbors will. So if we could just discuss how we're going to keep the kids safe from the connection to a 35-mile-an-hour road with minimal traffic that is also, at the same time that it's minimal, 3,000 cars a day or whatever, but minimal.
Thank you.
Anybody?
My name is Sir Albert. I live at 2847 Pebble Drive, Lewis Center, Ohio. There was a comment made at the last meeting. You instructed Epcon to address the road. I believe you actually made the comment that said, move the road north. They disregarded that. But it doesn't matter. I believe this has already been rubber stamped. I already believe that the decision is made. I believe the decision was made a long time ago. Personally, I think you have placated us and pacified us and done whatever. I'm disappointed that, this has really just been a farce and a waste of my time. Thank you.
Other public comments?
Jessie Dunn, 5304 Meadowbend Drive. Piggybacking on Cyril, you specifically asked them to move the road. They didn't even attempt to do that. It's very disheartening when you live off of Rock Drive and you have small children, lots of children that populate our neighborhood that we want to see safe. Biggest priority, safety. We never expected to have 3,000 cars going behind our homes. I'd also like to ask about the median that is on English Drive. I noticed it's only towards the entrance, coming off of Old State and English, so I wasn't sure who actually is making the decisions with the median and the configuration there. Is that on Epcon, or is that the engineer. Because maybe there's something else that could be done with the median to maybe keep safety with Rock Drive. So I guess some of my questions are, I'm not sure, directed to you, to Epcon, or to the engineer, because we would really like to explore other things about Rock Drive and what we can do, and between who we can make these things happen to keep our kids safe.
I'm sorry, which median, what did she,
At the
is it?
front,
You can see it on the right side of the map,
Yeah.
right before, or right next to Old State.
Where is it?
That's
The
thin gray line.
entrance.
yeah,
That's a median, oh, is it the boulevard, they have a boulevard entrance?
yeah, basically.
And what was her question, I'm sorry?
So I don't know if that is Epcon who is in charge of that, if that's the engineer who makes that decision on where, like, when it's constructed, if it's the engineer who can decide how long the median can go. Maybe we could have a median that goes longer down English to help eliminate some traffic coming onto Rock Drive. Maybe there's a way that Rock Drive could be a right-hand turn only or an exit only and not an entrance. I want to keep our kids safe, and that is my top priority here. Top priority.
I think the boulevard entrance, those are usually required by the county engineer, so if one is blocked, one entrance or exit is blocked, that they can come in emergency vehicles through the other
Well, they would have
entrance.
emergency access through Avonlea, and then eventually at the north part of Avonlea, that will also be connected.
Yeah, but into the main area of the subdivision, so that way there's two, the county engineer requires that there's a boulevarded entrance on every subdivision, so that way they can, if that one entrance is blocked, they just go around it and go behind it, like if there's an accident or something there. So they require that every single development.
Why don't we let her finish the public comment?
Well, yeah, but she,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to have to
Yeah.
call people back up after public comment is over.
True, good point.
So do you have anything else you would like to say?
I do. A neighbor that cannot be here and also has a husband that's ill and caring for an ailing mother. There's not very many tree coverage on the east side of Rock.
The west side?
Yes. West side of Rock, where, we've talked about the trees on the east side of Rock Drive, and I think it would be nice if we could have a little more coverage there for them, considering they haven't been able to come here and voice their opinions on the matter. And with that, I think those are all mine. And are you answering the questions after everybody's
At the
comments?
end, yeah.
Yeah.
And just that 3,000 cars, I know you said it's a quiet community, but 3,000 cars on a road isn't going to be quiet when it's moved closer to our subdivision.
Other public comments?
Hi, Bree Smith, 5236 Meadowbend Drive. I've been here at every meeting. I have 4 young children, all under the age of 7, and it's been very important for me to be here. As it's been noted, we do not have sidewalks in our neighborhood. Obviously, this English Road is quite a concern. Have we explored the possibility, at least as we enter Rock Drive, into our development of speed bumps of any sort? I know that is very minimal in the grand scheme of things, but I'm thinking of Carriage Road in Powell. They have speed bumps lining that street, and it is effective in slowing people down. I'm thinking of 35 miles. We know people are going to be going 45 and 50, and if we have something, however minimal, to start slowing people down as we near Rock Drive, I think it could be effective. So just something to propose, since clearly English Drive is not being moved, unfortunately. That's just been disregarded. So let's see what we can do to make this a little better for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're now stuck trying to negotiate our children's safety with you guys, with our good new neighbors. That is the situation. We're understandably upset.
Brad Bryce, 2871 Prairie Drive, part of the Bryn Mawr subdivision. I guess the concern is, what do these look like? They still have just the garage door in the front and the front door, or it doesn't seem to match Bryn Mawr, the Meadows, Evans, it's a completely different look. And then, of course, I have a lot of concerns with the traffic, because when they start the construction on Old State, and this is under I don't know how I'm gonna get out of my neighborhood. I mean, seriously, can I put there's a guy selling a helicopter on Facebook right now, but I don't know how, you know, to go north now in the evening, I have to turn south on Old State to Lewis Center, go over to North Road, go to Shanahan, go back up to go north. If English Drive could continue and connect to the center of Evans Farms and go north and south, maybe we'd have some options to get out of the neighborhood, but I don't think they're gonna be able to get out of this new neighborhood when Old State's under construction. And even when the light goes in, we won't be able to get out of our neighborhood and go north. We're gonna have to take Rock Road, go in there, and go to the light to turn left. We're not gonna be able to turn left because that light is so close to our entrance and exit. It'll be backed up to Lewis Center Road. We'll never be able to turn north out of our neighborhood without going through there to the light. I wish the county engineer was here. I wish that Old State was wider before we put in all these extra homes. I wish English went all the way through. I wish the roads were in so that as the extra traffic developed, it had somewhere to go instead of wait until the roads get built. More people, nowhere to go.
I will say the county engineer, when they put those lights in, the new ones they put in, they're activated by cars backing up, so they don't wait at a set time. So usually once, there's one car there, two cars, threes, they will keep the traffic moving. So the recent ones they've been putting up are more reactive to people coming out of the neighborhood.
2 miles from here, Orange, and Old State was backed up over a half a mile for me to get here and turn right to get over here.
Yeah, that's a very old light, I know, but it will be better.
Our entrance is less than a quarter mile from this entrance. We're gonna be tracked.
Michelle Custodio, 5277 Meadowbend Drive. And I want to add on what he said about we're trapped. This morning the train stopped. My husband was it stopped at Lewis Center. It was stopped for the high schools, the elementary and the middle school kids. Nobody could get through there. The kids my daughter couldn't even turn left to go up to Hollenbach on Old State to get around. She had to go all the way down to Orange Road to turn around just to get up to the high school today. So that was over 2 hours. My husband got home at 9:10. It was still backed up. He left, he had to come down Old State, and it was backed up. He couldn't cut through the villages this time because he had to keep going straight down through Polaris. So that was 2 hours this morning. I don't know, the school buses, that was probably a craziness. But anyway, my husband's not here, but that English Road, kind of on what he was saying, he'd like to see that English Road be connected right from the get-go, right? Because that will eliminate people trying to cut through our neighborhood. I mean, obviously, put that English, don't wait till wave 3. If we wait till wave 3, look what's happening with Intel, right? That keeps getting pushed out. We don't want to be stuck having no speed bumps, no nothing to protect our kids in our area. So get English Road connected right off the bat before they start anything, right? That's a main thoroughfare. Then when you start the widening of Old State, that will help. At least that can give people some place to go up to Pyatt. Ideally, it'd be nice to give us a right turn only onto Rock. Let us put a little gate or put the little poles like they have on other areas, like the big one at across from the Avonlea, or not Avonlea, but it's south on Old State, by the. Huh? No, it's on the left-hand side next to the fire station where that was the big plot, and they have those poles they can pull out easily. Let's put that on the side coming into thus, so our neighborhoods, we can come into Bryn Mawr, we can exit out a right turn onto English onto that way. That can be the big way, but we still need ways to get across to that lake. Also on the Evans Farm, and I'm sorry I was late, but also on the Evans Farm webpage, it says that the lakes are stocked. I was here at the last meeting, and they said that the lakes would not be stocked. So that should be stocked, because we're not doing the service to our community that we told people back when we got sold Evans Farm. Not just our immediate neighborhood, we're obviously having some, challenges with this, but not our township. our neighbors, our other surrounding areas. That was supposed to be a community center. There's no amphitheater, right? We don't have that community draw for us. Instead, we're worrying about parking and driving through and trying to keep our kids safe while, they move on. So, and I hope in 3 years, they're still gonna be our builder neighbors, but, I'm just gonna say, look what's happening with Intel out there. So it's not necessarily that what they signed today, they might not be the ones here. And then hopefully, again, I would mark down what Kylie said, have everything documented in writing so we have a stand for. Because this should never have occurred, because that zoning, all that information should have been documented. And, that guideline plan that I brought up at the last meeting was from 2017. And there's a lot of those things that were not followed that is listed on the website as being part of the community plan that is not being followed for this situation. So.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That was Jackson Court that she was referring to.
Oh,
Oh, wait, baby. I want to add one other thing too, is, they weren't one of the original builders from Evans Farm too. So, Evans Farm has obviously sold their business line and everything, so we know that happens, but we don't want to get burned again. We've already gotten burned now, so thank you.
Other public comments?
Kylie Baylor, 2800 Pebble Drive. What she was referring to is Jackson Court. They've got the little, you can only, you know what I'm saying, you can't turn in from the south, or I'm sorry, you can't turn in there from the north. All of that, it's kind of like emergency only, right? I think most of the residents here would love to have, we just don't want the traffic flowing into our neighborhood, right? 3,000 cars, they're gonna cut through, that's really what we're trying to avoid. But yeah, I just looked it up, it's the one at, whatever that community is right there, the new one, at Jackson Court, just north of Orange.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Lisa Ledke, 2945 Pebble Drive. I just have a question to follow on with the English Drive, right? So, we know this is all set in, so let's move on to extending that. Where does that lie? So being able to get English Drive, maybe to get it to connect like it's going to and have for many years, is that the county engineer? Where does that decision fall? Is that, with you guys, or is that an engineer county thing that they need to figure out? Is that working with them and Evans?
connect to what? I'm
So
confused.
what everyone's asking is to have English Drive connect to this is supposed to come all the way through to the downtown Evans Farm area,
Oh,
right?
connect all the way through, you're saying?
Yeah, so
Oh.
that the traffic could go while this is all being built, right? And then they mentioned, we're gonna, Old State's getting widened, right? So to alleviate traffic concerns, and we're not all quote unquote trapped trying to get out one way, is there any way or influence that could happen to make that connection sooner than later? I don't know what's on, past that road, and I know it's all farmland and construction, but anyway, something to think about, because if you do look at this, it's just all one big loop, right? There's only two ways out, it's Rock or Old State, and if we are even saying that we're not gonna do Rock until the third phase, I think that's what was proposed, then you have one way out, right, for all those people. So think about that, see if there's options there.
Thank you.
Michelle Custodio, 5277 Meadow Bend again. And I want to add on again, let's not forget that just north of that is that Rockford homes are going in at Berlin Township, and what is it, close to 300 homes. So all of that traffic, all the people that are north of that, right? And so, and again, our schools are all north of where we're at. So we're challenged.
Other public comments? Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment. I know we had several questions, so we'll pose those to the developer.
Yeah, I think about the Rockford home comment that was just made, they are building a street out to South Old State at that development.
North of Avonlea.
Yeah, and originally they weren't going to do that. They were going to have all the traffic go down through Avonlea, right? Avonlea,
It
right?
was at one point going all the way.
Yeah, it was going all the way through, and we were able to strong arm them a little bit and get them to, with the county engineer's help, get them to put a road out to South Old State with a light. So we helped get rid of that. That traffic should be going out at the light. Okay.
So I believe with every condo association, it is governed by a board. Would that be the same?
Correct.
For this development as well?
Deed restrictions and covenants, yes.
I think there was a question with respect to deed restrictions and covenants. Not only is there the Evans Farm
Architectural standards.
that are already on the properties, but then there would be additional deed restrictions for what's being proposed?
Correct.
Could people paint their house pink?
They cannot.
They can't, right, okay, because it usually limits the number, the colors.
Correct.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Can you, I think Kate asked at the beginning, can you confirm one more time, and we will get this in writing, about removing those two on the home south of English, the two to the west?
We will put anything in writing,
Yeah,
and
and
we'll do
we'll
what we
make-
say.
we'll
It's
make
public
it a-
comment, so.
We'll make it a modification
Yeah.
for the decision. I just wanted to confirm, so right now it is labeled as Unit 148 and 149.
Correct.
Would that be, I guess the numbering, would that be subject to change? Because
No, we did it that way, so in case, we needed to concede this, because we
Okay.
added it back in, it was likely.
I think just for our cautionary purpose, we might want to just add language to remove the two units labeled Unit 148 and 149 closest to the southern property line.
On
just to
the
kind of-
furthest west, yeah, yeah. And so, and you'll put in writing that it'll be 105 feet from,
It'll be approximately 105 feet, correct?
okay, yeah.
And I thought that might have been shown, yeah, here.
It is.
Yep, so once those two units were to be removed, that's the,
Still 105, okay.
Correct.
Construction trailer, Michelle, can you pull up sheet B1? Do you have the whole application that you're able to pull up?
yes, but just
Okay.
give me a second.
Okay.
Michelle, it's page 71 of the
Sure,
PDF.
separate comment. While Michelle's pulling that up, and this is a separate conversation that I'm sure the board is willing to entertain, with the county engineer suggesting that there should be a connection to Rock Drive in Phase 3 of the development. The township does actively partner with homeowners associations to put up rapid flashing beacon signs. So those are things, safety installations that can be pursued. I think these are township roads, so I think we'd have to have some additional consultation with the county engineer as to whether or not speed bumps could be installed on Rock Drive.
Typically, my experience with speed bumps, and again, I live on the corner of Walkerwood Boulevard, which has 3,500 cars a day. So it's more than this. And a lot of that is obviously when kids and adults are going to and from school. So I live in, and I daily experience what you guys will experience. Now, my subdivision has sidewalks, so that is different. That definitely feels different. So I do, but the speeding is on Walkerwood Boulevard, which is the same as English, which both of those have sidewalks. So just to, but yes, my street, my other corner street does have sidewalks, whereas yours does not. So I definitely understand that concern. So just, it sounds very, very scary, especially when right now there's a field, but it's livable. And what I have taught my children, again, because Pleasant Colony is also a pretty busy road as well, is and this is just parenting, so take this however you choose to ignore or whatever. If you see a car, don't cross. If I see a car anywhere, you don't cross. You wait until everything is clear, and that's parenting, so that's totally, whatever works for your family. But that's what I did with my kids, and we had good friends who lived on the other side of Walkerwood Boulevard, and I agree it's scary, so we closed public comment. But I do understand it feels scary.
Yeah, but just to finalize the point is that there are different safety.
When we are walking, we are in the road. So when we are walking our dog or our children, we are in our roads. That is our only option.
Now, this is related, they could put sidewalks on their properties, correct?
The same as when we bought our homes, part of my purchase price of my home
Was my
was my
sidewalk.
sidewalk.
Yeah.
True.
So, right, so they could though purchase maybe at a possibly discounted rate. They could on their own, or would they have to make, and I don't know how far the right of way, I'm assuming there's a right of way. There's some mechanism where they could pay to have sidewalks installed there. Like we all paid for ours in the price of the home.
Yeah, you can do
Correct.
that.
There's a process for, pardon me, there is a process for installing sidewalks for existing neighborhoods and existing communities.
Okay.
And who would take the lead on looking into that process? Would it be the HOA?
In general, there's a, pardon me, I don't have the statute memorized, it's been a little bit since I've looked at it, but there's generally a petition requirement in terms of a certain number of homeowners who live on a swath of road frontage have to petition, and then the township considers whether or not to install, and then that charge is ultimately charged back to the property owners through the real estate tax assessments.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because back when the houses were being built, there was a trustee that did not like sidewalks. And he specifically asked developers to take sidewalks out, and that's at the Shores and any other subdivision built around the same time. That was obviously not me. But there is a possibility you could pay to get sidewalks. And does anyone know how wide Rock Drive is right now?
How wide?
Yeah.
The roadway is 27 feet and the right-of-way is 60 feet.
Okay, so just if you didn't hear that, the roadway is 27 feet wide at Rock Drive and the right-of-way is 60 feet, so.
I assume that trustee is the one that built the sidewalks in our neighborhood because the curbs have cutouts for the sidewalks, and it's all lined up, we just don't have sidewalks.
Yeah, that's probably right. Probably if it was
Yeah.
2007 or so.
Okay. All right, sorry, guys, we're trying to keep it orderly if we can.
Yeah, I just can't catch it on record if they're not at
if
the
we're not,
microphone.
yeah. We asked about speed bumps, and again, a number of my neighbors have asked for speed bumps a number of different times. What I have been told, and this is something that you guys are welcome to pursue, it has not been successful because it slows down our fire trucks. It's, snow plows, how often do they go? Not that often, but it's the fire trucks, that kind of a thing. So it's worth asking it. I wouldn't cross your fingers and think that it could be possible.
Well, when
But
is-
I do understand the question. Many people do ask that.
And worth asking the county engineers.
Worth asking the county
Yeah.
engineers. And what I have found, I mean, I know I do it on carriage, off public record, but like, people drive over them and then they speed, and then they slow down, and then they speed, and they slow down. So that's what that's what operations department has told me has been the, yes, we think they'll slow people down, but they might not. But it is worth asking.
But when is Rock Drive, it's not being connected to English Drive until,
I think the
Third-
second or third.
Third phase.
Third phase,
And I
right.
heard so I guess I had a clarification, and maybe Zenius, this is a question for you, because English to the west is the developer decision. It is not an Epcon decision. So can you take the mic and let us know timing on continuing English into the Evans development?
Sure. Zenios, Michael Zenios, on behalf of the developer. Obviously, as we have traction with more demand, the intent is to go north on Evans Farm Boulevard because it's not only east-west. We are not a touch north-south yet. So we have to go first north through Evans Farm and then cut across to head east.
So going north through Evans Farms, Michelle, can you maybe give us like a map street view? Evans Farms, so what I'm hearing you say, correct me if I'm wrong, is right now you're working on completing phases of Evans Farms North, getting up to Shanahan
We're on
Road?
the bottom of the oval.
Okay.
With the phase that is just opening now, we're at the bottom of the oval. So we have to go one more phase to the north,
Okay,
and then it's gonna open up the phases to the east where it finds English Road.
and is that the connecting phase between the existing homes and this Epcon development?
Yes, now, as far as how many we can put at one time, that depends on how many, obviously the lots and how many phases it will take us to get there.
Okay, so basically, it will eventually, but it probably won't connect before this Epcon development is up.
Likely, obviously, we want to accelerate and sell lots as fast as we can, but to sit here and tell you that it's going to happen in a certain time frame, I I
We can't speak to
wouldn't
that.
know the exact
Okay.
answer.
But-
to
and
We
that.
now-
don't want to say anything.
Are you the one that would be constructing that road? Would you construct the English, was it
Correct.
Avenue?
Obviously, the piece that we're doing now, we're doing it in some sort of a, in concert with Epcon.
Okay.
Because it would just, it's going to cut straight across. Is it English Drive to the west because those trees are being saved, or is that, like, do you already know where that English Drive is going to be?
Approximately, because obviously, and I don't know if do you have the overall, Michelle?
Yes.
I have like
The layout.
Page 85 of the PDF.
Because if it could connect through soon, that would also be good for the residents that live there, because they can shop and do all the stuff that they're moving there for, right? I mean, that would be a huge benefit to the whole development.
Yeah, so this pretty much shows the connection to the oval.
Where's that, sorry?
Michelle,
there
can
it
you
is.
move, yeah, like there's English,
Oh,
and then
okay.
it keeps going across.
And how far is it built now?
So if you come down from the oval to that T, we're just above section 6,
Mm-hmm.
just come down with your cursor.
Above
No.
the oblong oval.
Yeah.
Where's that, section 6?
To the left.
Oh, here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're right. We just developed those lots. They're not platted yet, but we're working through that.
So that oval is not done yet?
The oval is not done yet. It's
Then you-
engineered, the intent is to, as soon as, you know, the economics make sense, is for us to head north and head to the east. And certainly this project propels that connection.
Yeah, because once this is built up, like, those people are going to want to go downtown. I mean, that's to the Evans Farm area. I mean, that's why they're moving here, that's one big reason, is to be able to go participate. And it's not good that they're cut off for that long. I mean,
And just to confirm, so it looks right now on English Drive to the west of the Epcon area, looks like single-family lots. But just so everybody's aware, what is behind those lots is the alley. So those are not front, like, I can't get into my house, right?
That is correct.
From
There's-
I can't drive my car off of English Drive to get into the house.
That's
I'm getting into my house and my property from the alley behind.
That's an engineer's decision.
Okay.
wait, all of them, even the
Yeah.
ones?
Michelle, can you move the
Yeah,
cursor?
yeah, I think my understanding, any lot facing English Drive
English
is gonna
Drive.
be alley
Yeah.
loaded.
Oh, so there's just not the alley road shown, or is that a road?
No, the alley road is there.
I just can't see
Yeah,
it.
it's just really teeny tiny on that.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, the little
Yeah,
line
I
is
guess
the alley.
so. It's
Yeah.
really small.
It's very small.
It would be great I know roads are very expensive, but obviously you need this project to go through because you have to have money to build roads, but if you could build that as soon as possible, obviously, is that your intent, to build it as soon as?
That is 100% the intent. Obviously, it has to make economic sense, but the connectivity helps everyone.
Well, it'd be a good selling point too for the Epcons, because people don't have to leave their neighborhood, because then what's the point? I mean, that would be a good selling point if you could get that built as soon as possible.
That's the cut that we're talking about for rock.
I don't know, are we opening up public comment
Yeah,
again?
we might have some back and forth, because that's the thing, when
Yeah.
you take all the questions down and you don't interact, then later you have more questions, so there's two sides of that.
So less
Are you-
about.
Are you okay with that?
Sorry, are we
you okay
opening
with that?
Go
Are you
ahead.
okay?
Okay.
So wait, can we scoot over a little bit to show the Epcon development, just a little bit? Thank you. So what the public is saying is that without English Drive continuing, the fastest, most perceived efficient way to get to downtown Evans Farm is directly through our no sidewalk neighborhood.
But
So
that won't be
Evans
built
Farm,
right away.
everybody who wants to get there will come to the light at
Anybody
English, and then they'll cut in.
The Epcon people.
No, anybody. The entire northern section of Orange Township, that's Avonlea, that's everybody, they'll come down to the light at English, cut over to the west, cut down Rock Drive, and come through the neighborhood.
Rather than just going on Southfield State and Green Center?
Yes.
That's true. Now, wait, are you saying that Xenios or everybody, are you saying that road there that extends north will be built prior to English Drive being extended? It's the road that goes to the north, right, along, oh wait, no, that is Epcon. Is that the Epcon internal street? Well, where will they come down? Oh, they'll come down, that's a public road, right? So that will be built, could you have English Drive done before, when's that road going to be built at
I'd like to
Epcon?
go back, I'd like to go back to the phasing plan that was
Yeah.
agreed to by the county engineer, the Evans Farm Master Developer and Epcon. And South Old State widening is to occur within 12 months of bonding for Phase 1. That includes the majority of English Drive up to Rock Drive. So we will not make that connection to Rock Drive until our Phase 3 of construction, and that's estimated to be about 3 years from the time we start. The northern public road that will go up towards the Rockford development is part of our Phase 3.
So it'll all be done at once. Now, will English Drive to the west be done by then?
Again,
That we can't.
Zenios answered that
Zenius,
question.
so what do you think?
Yeah.
Because that is a good point, that all that traffic will go down through the neighborhood. I don't like that.
That's not accurate at all.
You think they'll go out the light?
We totally dispute that. That is, to think that everything's going to go to Rock Drive
Tom,
to
can you
get to
state
the
your
Oval.
name for the record?
Tom Hart, 5029 Cemetery Road. We totally dispute, this is not traffic engineering. This is not, traffic engineering is not controlled by the audience or the board. It's the county engineer's approval. Kelly just described what they went through to put major infrastructure in place, including the light at South Old State, before Rock Drive connection's made. And the last witness saying that everybody in this part of the township's going to use Rock Drive to get to the west is ridiculous.
Well, wait, just hold on. It's a valid point. The residents are concerned. It's a valid point, and you've addressed it. And you've addressed it, and we can be reassured about that. But if I was a resident, I would be worried about that. So it's okay to ask the question,
We
right?
understand where the residents are coming from. That is why we had 4 months of discussion with Orange Township and the Delaware County Engineer's Office and Evans Farm to coordinate light installation, Rock Drive connection, and we asked the township about installing bollards, temporary emergency bollards to keep traffic from going down through Rock Drive. We were not able to secure that. We were told no. We have done everything that we can do to delay that connection, and we have done that.
But it will be delayed until that light is on South Old State Exit, correct? Oh, is that correct?
They
what you're
are
saying?
timed
Okay.
so that when we
Okay.
have Rock Drive connected in our Phase 3, that lights, the signal is also in
Okay.
place. The components are there. Really, who turns it on is the engineer.
Okay, so that's in the plan. Is this all in the plan, right?
It's all in agreement
Just to
with
make
the
sure
county.
that we
It's
don't
in
get into the
writing.
Evans Farm situation.
It
Okay,
is-
good.
it is in writing.
All right, that's very helpful. I
Robin
think.
has it on file.
Okay, thanks. All right. Well, do you want to add something else?
Brad Bryce, 2871 Prairie Drive. Last night, witness, do you think the road's not there? It is there, in gravel. People were turning off from Piat, Shanahan, go back to that intersection. The sports park is open. People are trying to get there. They're going down the construction gravel roads and off-roading to get to the parks, because there really isn't a good way to get there.
Where's that at?
Move the map.
Can you
To the
point
west.
it out?
To the west, where it says Shanahan Road. Hyatt and Shanahan.
Oh, at the
So,
top, at the
go
north
north
of-
a little bit, you're there.
Right there, where's the
So
park?
right there. So go over to where it typically dead-ended.
Where's that?
That is now open, right there.
Oh.
Over to the right a little bit, past, right there.
Right there,
So
okay.
now there's a gravel road coming there where they're construction down by the railroad tracks. And last night, I was picking my son up from track practice at Shanahan. People were going down where there really isn't a road on their gravel path, trying to get to the big lights at the new sports park that's open now for soccer practice.
And where were they cutting through? I'm sorry, they're cutting, where's the gravel
Right
road?
where his cursor
But
is.
there's a gravel road. Oh, going south, I
Yep,
gotcha.
they're
And that's
going
Pyatt,
south.
is that the Pyatt Road
It
extension?
goes back there towards the railroad tracks and comes down.
So you go down and then you go west towards the tracks?
Yes.
On like basically the township line?
Yes.
Where it says Shanahan?
We don't show where the sports complex is.
So it's all to the west there, so
Right.
it's the whole like plain
Ah,
white space.
Kim, is that Berlin or Orange?
It's, well, this is
Dash
split.
line north of that is Berlin.
It should be orange.
But whoever it is, can we have that road like blocked or blockaded?
I
That's
can, I can
Angus.
definitely look into
It's under
it.
construction, so it's.
Yeah,
That's
whatever.
a-
Guys,
Trustees,
It's under construction.
trustees,
topic.
if I may, I'm so sorry. The other, the other avenue is obviously contacting the sheriff's office when, at the end of the day, if you're driving somewhere where there's not a road, that's improper, and that's an issue for the sheriff's office. Not discouraging or disparaging any of the concerns the residents are bringing up right now. I just fear for purposes of our hearing, we're getting a little far afield. Again, completely valid concerns, understanding the traffic issues, understanding all of that, but for purposes of the amended application that's in front of you tonight, I think we're just starting to get a little far afield.
Michelle,
This is just our only voice to get this traffic.
Yeah, yeah.
Any better, we need these roads to get.
Yeah.
So if there are people doing that, then you can also contact the township, like any random gravel
I
road.
do it to get my kid to practice, I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah,
then
and
don't contact the township, okay.
I know a lot of the things that we are talking about right now, to Julie's point, are either regarding the sheriff's office or even the county engineers. I am happy to collect comments. I have been doing that and sending them to the county
Okay,
engineers.
that'd be helpful.
I've been in contact with some of the residents here today. I can, the county engineers has offered me to pass along their contact information if you don't already have it, but those conversations should be up at the county level.
Yeah, so if you have those concerns, you can contact Michelle.
This is including how
Mich-
the English Drive, there was a conversation about the question about the median, the Rock Drive extension, can it be moved up, when is it gonna be extended? These are questions the county engineer
Yeah, can you check on all that?
help
Yeah,
with.
but to the resident's point, they don't know where to adjust their comments.
Yeah,
this
and
is, you know,
I
a
agree,
few- a
this
few
is
little
the
comments are fine, I
public
think.
setting for this, but I just wanna let the community know that that's something I can help facilitate with
Yeah,
the
so
county
contact
engineers.
Michelle also for that, or any of us, okay.
Oh.
Go ahead,
We
somebody.
had a resident who had a question about adding trees south of English on the west side of Rock Drive.
Is there any mounting of trees? I guess I
Sorry,
hadn't
Ken.
noticed that. Yeah, was that just not done for any particular
Originally,
reason?
that's where the sales trailer was located.
Right,
So we added buffering in there, knowing that the road was in the same location that has been expected by the residents. We decided to add the landscaping in there to buffer the sales trailer, which has now been moved.
Okay.
There's an existing tree line there. We can commit to adding 5 more evergreens there. That gives us the spacing for 162 feet for adequate
So it'd be
spacing for
similar
growth.
to the trees that,
It'd be the same type of
Okay,
trees,
that's
But
correct.
not mounding, just trees.
Just trees,
Just
not
trees.
mounding, yeah.
and Julie, are you keeping track of
When you're
this, right?
south of English to the west of Rock,
can you highlight it with the cursor?
yeah,
South of English, west of,
west
here.
of Rock, so that area, so add some more trees there. Because that house that's the existing home it's a side setback, so it is pretty close to that.
The backyard faces west, and there's
Yeah.
a side yard to the north,
Oh,
correct?
yeah, you're
Yeah, I
right.
saw that today.
So you put 5 more trees there,
That would be good, thank
and
you.
that does have some larger trees, it looks like, is that right?
There's an existing tree line that will not be touched because we will not be constructing.
There is
anything.
one large tree that's right at where the road's gonna come
Correct.
through, that'll have to come
That's
down just
correct.
because the road's gonna have to come through.
Correct.
For the Rock Drive, okay.
Correct, yeah. We asked, you guys brought up the bollards on Jackson and something, I think the question was that, those are only traversable, like, in an emergency, like the fire department can go over them? But then but as the engineer told us last time, we have to be able to allow you guys to get out of your development to be able to get onto English, so.
Yeah, this cannot be.
Unless I misunderstood.
It cannot be a limited
Yeah,
access.
it has to be full access, so.
There was a question about where the construction trailer is located.
Yeah,
Can
that's
you
okay.
highlight that on the map for everyone where it's been moved to?
What was the page?
What page was that one?
It will be north of English Drive and outside of the right-of-way, just east of the home site. Yeah, it'll be on this, I think it's number 7 off the top of my head. Just scroll down a little bit, and it'll be right there.
So, yeah, that right
Behind the
there is
mounding,
this, is the construction trailer?
Mhm.
And then we talked about, Michelle, just scroll down a little bit more, please.
We have a sales trailer located down south of English Drive, just in that area there until we have the
Until we
model.
build the
Model or
homes.
the model or the clubhouse is
Yes,
built.
number 8.
Is this something you could provide for all 3 phases? As far as
We will not
location?
have that, no, because we will, it's temporary. So
Yeah.
once we have the model built or the clubhouse, we will move into that and the
So
sales
the
trailers.
trailers would be.
But can you let us know where the construction trailer will be for phase 3?
Yes, we have to pull a permit for that.
Okay.
So we don't, it's not automatic, we have to.
No, I understand, I guess as far as, so, in writing, are we able to understand where the construction trailer will be in phase 3?
Like just where on the map?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, we will do that.
So the sales trailer will be moved after the model home's built, which would be part of phase 1?
Correct.
Okay.
Zenios, can you talk about some of the upcoming amenities within Evans Farm? I know 10 years ago, we said there was going to be, it was going to look like X, and then now it's, I think most of the things are still happening just at different times, and can you just kind of speak so everybody's up on?
Yeah, and Michelle, if you can help me and put the overall again. So we are through permitting of a stage that we're going to have for our community gathering that is going to sit in front of Standardize. I believe we may have even the building permits, and we're going to start construction here pretty soon. And that's for community gatherings, music, any sort of outdoor movies, et cetera. So that's happening here pretty soon. Obviously, everybody has seen the pickleball courts. The pickleball courts are on the parking lot of behind buildings 3 and 4 right now. Those are temporary or in a short life, if you will, but we chose to bring them up front so we could generate more activity, and eventually they'll move in either close to, location to be determined, either close to Jennings, somewhere incorporated as part of the park, and/or in our, at the north of the Oval, we have the location for the future amenity for the neighborhood. The northwest quadrant of the Oval, at the very north, on that 8.7 acre piece, where the commercial district meets the residential, up in that corner, it's where we're planning to do the HOA amenity.
Okay, and can you describe that?
Clubhouse, potential uses, clubhouse, pickleball courts, basketball, fire pits, swimming pool. We've announced it to in our HOA meeting, and we also promised our residents that we are going to, as we get closer, we are going to involve them in the process, solicit feedback in designing and programming that space for them.
And is that gray box there, that's the 8.7 acres, that'll be the
That is
amenity
to
space?
it's about we carved out about an acre to an acre and a half, and it is to the, it's west of that gray block and all the way to that north, that little notch that you see over there.
And who would that be, who would those be able to be used by, those amenities?
It would be used by the residents of Evans Farm.
Right, so that's not open to the public, correct?
Paid
Okay.
by the
Yeah,
residents of
right.
Evans Farm.
So it's just for them?
Just for Evans Farms residents, okay.
Yep. Which makes sense, it's just Evans Farm originally, not you, promised a lot of amenities for the residents, so that's why.
Well, and I think, and I wasn't there from the beginning, but I think to the extent of amenitizing and programming the site, I think we're fulfilling those wishes, I
And
guess.
someone mentioned something about an amphitheater that initially?
Well, we played with the idea a little bit. Early on in the discussions, an amphitheater was going to sit in the middle of the oval. It makes it impossible to function, to have an amphitheater where you have a bunch of headlights all the way around you, and speaking from a safety standpoint, it's impossible to get in and out of. So we have turned that, and you're gonna see it in our next phase, into a very large body of water with big fountains and a walking trail around it. Again, that's coming in our next phase as we're heading north on Evans Farm Boulevard with basically townhomes facing the water.
But the stage, it's not the same as an amphitheater, but it would function?
The intent is to preserve that use.
Okay.
And bring it to the front, which it makes it possible now, it makes it functional now, and it keeps the traffic and the loudness in the marketplace
Away
and not
from
in the
our-
residential
the homes.
district.
And I mean, we've had a number of residents who've come when we've done other zoning hearings who lived here in the township when the Players Amphitheater was here, and they talked about how they didn't like it because, you're hearing concerts late at night and you're trying to put your kids to bed and all that kind of stuff. So moving it away from the more residential portion into the more commercial portion of the township. Makes sense to me, at least.
It feels more appropriate. And again, it's with feedback from our residents and our retailers. It feels that it wants to be part of the programming of the commercial district.
Okay.
So is there going to be the town center, or what is the town center here?
Well, the town center is basically everything up against Lewis Center Road.
Just the commercial area, okay.
Yes.
Because originally there was promised there was going to be like a town center in each township where there would be community gatherings and things like that. That was the original intent.
Yeah, and I think most of it is, and again, I wasn't here for those. But
Yeah, it was a long time
the
ago.
intent is to continue to build our marketplace in Orange Township. The intent is when we head to Berlin Township to do something on a smaller scale of what's happening down in Orange.
Mm-hmm.
From a pragmatic standpoint, you cannot have two
Yeah, it
districts
doesn't make
within a mile
sense.
from each other. It's going to be.
They'll fight each other.
Oh, yeah,
It's
that was promised, and it didn't seem kind of ridiculous at the time, but each party was talking, so there will be an area that people can gather at some point.
Absolutely.
And
Correct,
starting
okay.
this summer, I sit on our events committee, you guys are doing weekly farmers markets. There'll be a big kickoff in early summer.
Correct. Every Saturday,
the
June
township-
through September.
Yeah, the Township Founders Festival is being moved to Evans Farm this year and bring that, last couple of years it's been at North Orange, we're gonna bring it into the Evans Farm space to,
Yeah.
Yeah, we just want to make sure there's the place for people to gather, for the community to
Yes.
gather, including the people that live nearby.
Yep. Okay, what other questions? Yes, that's Jennings Park, yeah.
Where is it at? Oh, there, yeah.
The last question, just as a reminder, it was the boulevard. The boulevard must terminate prior to the intersections into the community.
Okay, and
That
that
would
would
make it right in, right out on both, and
right.
we cannot block that intersection, so.
And did you figure out where the sales, or the construction trailer was going to be? Are we, for the
phase
third
two.
day?
For the
or-
third phase, we have it,
Is it already in there? Is that?
It's
in
not,
the-
We'll make it as a condition.
Yeah, we'll,
Should they tell
It'll
her it's
be in
going to
the
be now,
phase
or
three.
you don't know? It's going to be somewhere in phase 3,
it'll be in phase 3, yeah.
right? So it won't be near the residents,
It
okay,
will not be near any of the residents,
okay, good.
the construction trailer. We don't own land that would be abutting or near the residents
And at
for
that
phase
point, you
3.
already would have built the area south of English, and it would be landscaped, so you're not putting a trailer up against the Bryn Mawr residents.
We are not. That's
That would
our
be-
commitment, is
that
that
would
you
be
will not
done
have a
previously.
sales trailer along the southern property line.
Okay, and we'll write that into,
That's
like,
fine.
any
Yeah,
condition.
and how soon do you think obviously you don't really want to be selling units out of a sales trailer, it never looks very nice, so you'll be wanting to build some model homes right up front? You'll be building some models, right?
Correct.
With some of the first, because you want to be able to take people to the actual, okay, so that won't be
Yes.
around too long.
Correct. It's meant to be as temporary as it possibly can be.
Is that designated in the text as to when this sales trailer will no longer be used, or can you make any commitment, like after a certain time point, it will be gone 6 months, or is there any way you can?
Quantity of homes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we need occupancy to the clubhouse, and the sales trailer is
Is that one
gone.
of the first things you build is the
Yes.
clubhouse? Okay.
Yep, clubhouse model, that's what we go
And after
on.
phase 1 is completed, it will be removed.
okay, so we'll be removed after phase 1?
Absolutely.
Or possibly sooner?
Or possibly
If
sooner,
it works for
but
you,
yes.
okay, and that's in the text, right? Is that in the text?
That is
Can we-
not stated in the text
Can we
anywhere,
put that in the
but
text
I
as a
can- yes.
condition?
Yeah, that's
Please,
fine.
okay.
The board is done with questions. I would like a 5-minute recess,
great.
but whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we got every,
She's got one more question. Can we haven't closed public comment yet.
If you'd like to come up, state your name and address.
yeah, we might have missed a question.
So I had a lot of questions about rock, the median, what else can we do? Are these all questions that are only designated towards the county engineer? Or do you have a say in anything that happens? Does Epcon have a say because they're building? I just need to know where I need to go. That's
County
number
engineer,
one.
right, for that one, yeah.
Predominantly the county engineer, but we can work with you to work with the engineer, like the median, for example, and the putting in English Drive, those are decisions made by the county engineer. Where that median sits is determined, it sounds like, by the county engineer, how far it extends, and then what, you know, traffic safety devices can be put in the public road, or conversations with the county
Yeah,
engineer.
and I think, isn't the entrance, the width is increased, and so I don't know if there would be room for a median on the rest of the road or not. Right, because they'll widen it at the
I mean,
boulevard
there would,
entrance.
but you'd have to, Michelle,
We'd
can you
have
go
to
back
widen the road, and
the-
speaking with the engineer, it's been tapered down. This has all been approved by the engineer.
I can tell you from my experience, you don't want your road to be wider than it has to be. So Walker Road Boulevard really is a 3-lane road, and people do think that it is quite fast. So narrow
No, I was just
road.
looking at the median as an option to hopefully, you know, not have so much in and out of Rock Drive, so.
Well, we can't block any entrances. So even if they were to widen the road and you put the median all the way between the entrance, I don't know what the road name is.
Oh,
But they
Way to
could
walk.
have a cutout
Yeah,
of the
little
median,
piece.
which would
Correct.
slow people down
Yeah.
turning that way versus just, you know, flying.
But I
and
think the
driving.
only way you'd be able to do that is you'd have to widen English. And my guess is they
Yeah.
would have to widen it to the south so that you're not moving the home. So if that were to
It would cut
happen, you
into
would
it.
lose, you'd cut into some of your green space that is blocking you from the road. So the road would just in essence get closer to
Oh.
your property line.
Which we could probably negotiate if the road was a little more north, but that's not.
But they
gonna
can't move the,
And
they can't move
they can't move the
north,
property anymore north because of the topography of the land and that
the wetlands.
retention pond in the middle. I had asked about that.
Yeah, I asked that too.
Yeah, but the county engineer would be able to give you all this information. This is more,
Okay.
Yeah.
we're not the engineers.
So they said they would put in 5 trees for my neighbor.
Correct.
But is there a reason if we're already doing mounding, why we can't do mounding for her as well?
We added the mounding because English Drive was moved south towards the property lines. English Drive is in the same location as it has always been in that section. And we feel that adding the trees gives the buffering from that road that is over 160 feet away from that property line.
Well, it's not just about how far away, it's your visual and what's, you know, and the sound that's happening off of 3,000 cars.
Like I said, we've committed to 5 additional
Can
evergreens.
you show us that drawing, Michelle?
It's a mound before the trees. Wait, is it a mound with the trees?
Mound then tree.
Trees on top.
Yep.
Yeah, 4 to 6 foot undulating mound, right?
Correct.
With 7 foot
Correct,
trees?
7, 8-foot trees.
7 to 8 foot trees
Yeah.
at
At
planting.
planting.
And is it just one line of trees?
It's a meandering type of, a row of trees, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that it'll be quite, is Meadows Lewis Center the one right along Lewis Center?
Yeah,
Road?
maybe
Yeah,
not.
I mean-
quite
That's
as
almost
much.
like a wall of trees. I
Yeah.
don't think it's
It'd
gonna
be
be.
groupings of
Yeah.
5.
You need some space to grow, and they will grow.
Because otherwise they'll fall down.
Correct.
Yeah, they're staggered. Okay,
Jesse, did you have anything else?
So no mounding for her?
We've committed to the 5 evergreen trees, and that's what we'll commit to.
I think it's the cost of, do we take those 2 units away, or do we add?
Well, it's different neighbors.
I know, yeah.
let's see, are there any questions that we missed because we were trying to write everything down? Can you guys think of anything we might have not addressed that you questioned?
I think we
Is that
answered all the
all right for them
questions.
because I feel like I might have missed something, okay.
Oh, yeah, the community
So-
tree planning.
So,
Oh, yeah,
can
what
you
was
actually
that?
come back and
Yeah.
explain what you're talking, because I was don't understand, yeah.
Kylie Baylor, 2800 Pebble Drive. I keep coming up here, I'm sorry.
You're good, yeah.
So I may be dating myself here, but I remember going out as a kid and planting trees and you know, they would grow and you come back as an adult or 10 years later or whatever and you've got more trees. For example, you go to Oakland Nursery, you get a tree, it's however many calipers, $200, so on and so forth. In a neighborly fashion to make sure that we get the right amount of trees, the type of trees, whatever is consistent, and saving Epcon money from having to buy and plant all those trees. You bring the neighborhood into it, and then you can bring more plants, vegetate, whatever the community feels is appropriate to get the right amount of trees on both sides of Rock Drive. and to also bring the community into it, and at the same time reducing costs to the builder.
And who pays for the additional
The
trees?
people planting the trees.
So like
if
I would
were to
go
plant
buy a tree.
I go buy the tree,
And then I
right?
put it in.
But I now get a tree that the community wants.
I think-
Maybe it's Kylie's tree.
Yeah, I think
right?
the idea sounds great, but if we want something concrete that we would rely the developer to do, I think it needs to be all handled by Epcon.
But you guys could totally plant additional trees on your properties,
Yeah,
right?
if it was a community project, we wouldn't be able to, there wouldn't be compliance with it, it would just be a.
And the developer's responsible for making sure, like, say one dies, that they replace.
Oh, you mean the upkeep of it? is what I'm-
Yeah, so like
that-
all these that are on the drawing, they have to make sure that they stay alive. And so again, there are trees sometimes
Yeah.
that die, right?
That's
They
in the
have to-
text, right? That they have to be maintained in
Yes, but I
perpetuity,
think,
right?
like, if we had a community partnership for this particular landscaping, there is a risk that we can't ensure the landscaping's going to look like this.
No, I'm talking about a specific section, not the whole thing. Right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong picture. The
Yeah,
west of Rock
West of
Drive?
Rock, that area.
That big open area, right?
Where's that?
There was a question from another resident that said, hey, could we get more trees right there? That big open square.
Right.
Southwest.
To the west of Rock, where we're talking,
that-
where they've committed to 5 trees, she's
Oh,
asking.
if
And the
they-
neighborhood put in more, is what she's asking.
I mean, Epcon, you wanted to contact Epcon and work that out, and maybe you could pay for some bushes.
I don't want to pile requests on the builder when there are things where the community can participate, getting what we want. I'm not saying we're going to build berms and all of that, right, and mounds. I'm just saying to plant things, some sort of a plant garden that just allows it to look really pretty and nice and introduces more residential. People might slow down. There's something that could be discussed there, and it's financially viable. That's the reason why I brought it up.
Is that something she would work with you on as the developer
Probably
of all
Epcon,
of Evans?
That's an Epcon, Epcon's going to maintain and control that property, and just for a whole host of reasons, including liability, insurance, and us being held to account, and us being able to maintain that area, we're going to rely on the professional architects to design what we have. We appreciate the offer, but, we're happy to concede to what we've already provided, and that's what we're willing to do.
The impetus for that was, if you go all the way down to the very bottom, like the end of that, where there's that existing tree line, in every neighborhood that I can remember, except for that one off Jackson, there's some sort of, this is what neighborhood you're going
right, it's
into,
decorative,
right?
yeah.
We've already discussed in these proceedings that becoming some sort of a entrance or access way
To
to
Bryn Mawr.
Bryn Mawr is now a burden. That's a hardship to the residents, and we have to find space to do that, which, by the way, takes away from the property owners of that area because they weren't prepared to do that. We don't have that space that allows us to make it pretty, make it anything. So that's where this was coming from, was some way to say, hey, this is like some weird back door to Bryn Mawr with no entrance greeting. I have no idea what neighborhood I'm in, right? It just doesn't suit our overall community.
Right.
So absent the investment from the builder to have that build to say, hey, this is Bryn Mawr, and absent any space for us to do that without taking away some weird eminent domain for the residents who'd already lived there, we were seeking some way that we can make it a little bit prettier than some weird entrance with a bunch of trees there. That's all.
I get what you're saying. Could the Bryn Mawr HOA purchase a chunk, like 20 feet from you guys? So they can have, and this is something, this is not a township level thing, it's not zoning, this is just like.
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying, like, we're left with nothing. So part of it.
To make an entrance to
Yeah,
the
part of
zone.
it is this kind of like, no, we won't do that. No, like, we can't do that. And it's kind of like, man, we can't even get an entrance to our property? That's tough.
But Kelly, you'd be willing to, if they came to you in the future, maybe give an easement or something
This is what
or
was
not?
discussed in the last meeting, is that they asked for an easement for signage, to have a gateway, and community signage, so
sign.
people knew that they were going to the Bryn Mawr. We're trying to keep traffic from going to Bryn Mawr. We're not advertising Bryn Mawr. This is part of the parcel that we're buying. We are maintaining it beautifully. We have control of the parcel to make sure that it looks like this for 30, 40, 50 years to come. This is our parcel that we are purchasing, and we will maintain it beautifully for the community, for everybody to enjoy.
And I
But
think
it's
someone could
not
put down their
everybody
own.
enjoying it. So
It is for everybody to enjoy.
But
yes.
a resident could put possibly, if it meant zoning code, they could put their own sign, like their own Bryn Mawr sign on their own property.
Correct.
I mean, you could do that. I mean, that's only.
Again, that's to me the definition of hardship to the community, is to force them to do something to accept someone else coming in. That's like saying, hey, Kylie, you need to cut down a tree so that your neighbor can build their house when my tree's on my property.
Yeah, so I live on the subdivision line between McCammon Estates and Wilshire, and there is a strip of, it's like 20 feet wide, that is owned by the Wilshire HOA.
Yeah.
Where there's a.
Like an easement.
Yeah, it's an easement, and now it's.
We'd have to pay, apparently, I mean, we're at a point where we have to pay to build that either way, but we don't even have the option to pay to build it. And I understand, by the way, it is beautifully designed. I want to concede that. That's a very good job on that, by the way. But the reality is that it's an inevitable that it becomes what it's going to become, right? We're hoping that we aren't going to get 3,000 cars. We're hoping that we're trying to reduce that, and I will concede that that is something that mutually everybody wants. But I believe that's going to fail. And when it does, the community, the people who live here, have no way of actually doing anything about that except putting hardship on exactly 2 residents that they have to subtract from their property, go through all of that expense, just to even say, to put up something pretty that says, this is actually Bryn Mawr, right? And every community inside of Orange Township has that, every single one. So this would be a precedent that we're setting where, as much as we don't want it to become an entrance, it will become an entrance. And when it does, we have no recourse because we weren't permitted to purchase anything that we needed in order to do so. I think that, to me, is something that would be a huge mistake, and ultimately, the people who have to live with that mistake are the ones sitting in the rooms, right? That's what we're saying.
Trustees, if I may, again, not invalidating any of the comments or concerns, that type of thing, for purposes of the zoning amendment in front of you, that is not something that the township can compel the developer to do. Again, the developer has walked through in terms of a potential look and what the initial community is going to look like. That being said, this community is, when the developer's done with development, it will be run by a resident-controlled condo association. I believe Bryn Mawr has its own homeowners association, and again, that is valid concerns, understood on all of that, but for purposes of the board's decision, be it tonight, it's just not something that.
So not germane to zoning, but something that could be a future
So
conversation.
they could have conversations and grant an easement.
HOA to an HOA conversation.
Yeah, if it came to that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a sign for my neighborhood. I have a separate little subdivision, and it just seems like it's all part of the same. We have an easement though in my neighbor's yard, but, and I did think of one thing, maybe once English Drive gets built and the Rock Drive connection is made, we might be able to possibly put up some signage that says like South Old State, you know, like an arrow that says to get to South Old State.
Like directional?
Yeah, directional signage. That might work because that would keep people, of course, that'll be years down the road, but that way people will feel less compelled to maybe cut through the neighborhood if it says this way to South Old State or.
Where would the sign be?
Just on English Drive, like as you're coming up to Rock Drive or something, it could say.
So if I'm coming from Evans,
Yeah.
like within, so don't cut through. Like,
Yeah, it might be something we could do if there's gonna be 3,000 cars and, rather than someone being, but most people will be taking the
That's
GPS.
something we can.
It's something we could talk
potentially
into.
talk about after the zoning.
Yeah, that's just an option I just thought of. Okay, did we address all of the, did we address the rest of the concerns that everyone brought up?
I took notes. I don't think
Did I miss anything? There's some,
I don't have anything. I think we addressed what we've heard so far as public comment.
I agree.
yeah, okay, are we ready to take
Can we
a
do a
small
5-minute
break?
recess?
Yep, I need a 5-minute recess. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we are in recess for 5 minutes. Thank you. It's just more concrete to shovel.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yes.
You all ready?
Ready. Was that 5 minutes?
You ready?
Was that a full 5
All right.
minutes? Okay.
Yes, it was.
All right. 4 more minutes? No, we started the.
Coming back from recess. So legal counsel has had the opportunity to confer with administration. Does the board have a motion that we'd like to make?
Yes. And make them,
Have the conditions in it?
yes. Do I read the whole thing?
I would read the title and then just for the record, state the 5 conditions.
So I make a motion to approve Resolution 25-070 to adopt the recommendation of approval of the Zoning Commission as to zoning application ZON-24-08 of Epcon Communities with modifications. The modifications will be to remove the 2 units, Unit 148 and 149, closest to the southern property line. Number 2, the construction trailer will be located in Phase 3 during Phase 3 development. Number 3, the sales trailer will be removed after Phase 1 development is completed. Number 4, add additional 5 evergreen trees west of Rock Drive and south of English Drive. Number 5, applicant will provide updated materials to township staff that incorporates these modifications into the final development plan.
Is that, do you agree to those conditions? Okay. Are we leaving anything out? Okay.
Yes.
All right, second?
Okay. Those voting, Trustee Faust,
Yes.
Trustee Knapp,
Yes?
and Trustee Ringel.
Abstain.
Motion carries.
All right.
I don't have anything.
Thank you very much for everybody for coming and giving their input.
That concludes the hearing. Thank you.